Hey, how's everyone today?
Great, welcome. We're supposed to give you an
Thank you. Thank
introduction
you.
real quick here.
Hey everyone, it's Ankit here, part of Start Now. Just wanted to invite, just wanted to thank Mr. Martynas for taking the time to host this talk. I'm really delighted that he actually accepted to come and talk to us. Start Now is a platform that people with ideas and ideas regarding startups and technologies can use, for which companies will understand how and well they're doing and give a boost to the ideas. Mr. Martinas over here is a very great guy. He's co-founder of at Alta Enterprises, strategic partner at Aerobotics, shareholder at multiple space industries, and a space advocate. Also, he's an organizer at International Space Convention 2022. The agenda for today is discussion based on his guidance in early startups and space-based exploration happening today where business opportunities can be created. Mr. Martinez, thank you once again. We'll be having a round of questions with you from our speakers after a quick round of introduction, and it will be around for half an hour to 1 hour. So I hope you are fine with the time.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me, and let's start now.
Yeah. Okay. We can start with the first round of questions. Priyansh, Chase, and Pranay, over to you.
So, good afternoon, sir, from India. Actually, it's really glad to have you here right now with us. Since it is our inaugurative event, we are having the first event here, we would like to record this session and then upload it as podcast too for future reference. So, sir,
Very
my
good.
first yes, sir. So, my first question to you, I've read a lot about you, sir. So you are into you are into so many big giant startups, space related things. So I would love to know about your journey in this startup field.
Right. So yes, so I did many different businesses and many different industries, starting with the marketing industry, with real estate industry, direct marketing industry, sales industry, and now space industry. So it is a journey. So and I'm sure a lot of you who are listening today, you will experience the same that or maybe experiencing right now that it is a constant journey, a constant improvement, and constant kind of like a river trying to find the way, right, to go to the main sea, right, where you're going to land at the end. So I do believe personally that this is the end point, the space industry, not because it is sexy or it is trendy or whatever people that describe it. And personally, I see a lot of the individuals and companies starting this business because they see opportunities in this industry, which obviously there's plenty. But you have to have a lot of passion. You have to have a lot of passion because there's with that with those opportunities means there's a lot of competition, a lot of challenges, which means if you don't have passion, if you don't know how to persevere the challenges, you just not gonna come through on the other side, and you're just gonna fail, right? So we have to come through the passion point for this industry in particular. But coming back to the question, it is a journey, as I mentioned before. So and that happens at the point of where you realize what your potential is. There's actually way many other different things happen before that point when you realize what your inner potential is, when what you actually can do in life and in business in terms of providing product solutions or services to solve a problem for other business or individual, because at the end of the day that's what business is and that's what it's supposed to be, providing a solution to the problem that's existing to the individual or company, right? But all of that happens before where an individual decides to become better, right? So, and until you do something in business and or in endeavor or in a project in a community with people, like there is a lot of individuals right now that I see on the chat that decide to do something with a group of people, individual themselves, and when they do something successfully, and that's when that happens, when I'm talking about just tapping into your own potential and realizing that, oh my God, I never knew that I can do something great, right? And when you kind of get approved by just doing. And for me, that happened probably in a networking marketing community. because I was a very introverted person, still am until this day, even though I have a podcast with over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube as well, and I spoke with thousands of different people until this point, and continue to do so. And now I love it, even though I'm still being an introvert, which that happens. And maybe for some of you who are listening right now, it's a little bit confusing how you can be an introvert and openly speak about things, right? So that can happen because it's coming back to the point that I mentioned before, that if you're coming through the passion point, right? If you talk about the things that you're passionate about, and that could be, again, about the things that you're passionate right now, because coming back to another point that I mentioned, that it is a journey. Some of you, they're going to be speaking about the passion that you're passionate about right now. That could be, let's say, a crypto, or it could be computers, or it could be science, or it could be rocketry, or it could be whatever that is, right? Maybe 3 years from now, you're going to be say, okay, I'm now passionate about real estate. And you might talk with the same passion about that, but you need the passion. You need the passion to persevere, and that's I guess how the growth happens. And as I mentioned before, it is just a journey. I don't have the right answer for that, but it was a journey for me to go through the different industries to realize and accumulate. Which, by the way, the another important thing, that why we are on this journey, we accumulate different experiences, different points of views, different connections, different skills, which no other businesses out there. And I see a lot of people, they trying to go and invest something that will provide them a quick solution. Kind of, okay, I'm going to buy the next stock, or I'm going to invest in crypto, and I'm just going to become a millionaire like overnight. I'm just going to hope on the upside to happen. People just going to inflate the prices, and that's it. I'm just going to become wealthy from that point. That's great. That might happen. You might become lucky, but you're just becoming part of the problem. And I know this message might not be what people would like to hear, but what I'm trying to say, don't become just a consumer, don't become just another person. There's more in you that you can actually believe there is at this moment, because maybe you haven't reached this potential, you haven't tapped into the potential, currently haven't realized what you're capable of. When you're going to realize that, you're going to say, look, I don't care about the Bitcoin, anything like that. I can become wealthy whatever the way I wanted to. If I want to invest in the crypto at that point, or whatever that is, I can do that. But I want to solve the problems. And as I mentioned before, that's what the business is all about. So during that journey, you will learn how to solve the problems, how to connect with people, how to build business, how to do sales, how to manage finances, and so forth and so forth, because there is a lot of different moving pieces in the business. And mostly when starting in a company, you have to be good or great at a lot of those different things, because you cannot be great at connecting with people and you cannot bad with managing your finances, right? So you kind of become the jack of all trades. But when you become bigger and you have a chance to hire people, please don't get stuck in a position where you have to think that you have to do everything by yourself. Team is the team. Together, everybody achieves more, right? As the way it sounds, that's what it is, right? So you need the team behind you, and you need great people. How you can put those great people together, how you can, train them or retrain them, how you can grow the company. I mean, those are different things that happen after. But the message for now would see, I don't know if actually that answers your question, because my brain just operates this way. I go to different 20 directions at the same time. But just learn as much as you can, and find a way to tap in your inner potential, and to realize that you're capable more than you are currently right now. Because I don't believe this podcast is supposed to be about me. This is me coming in and trying to give you some insights into my own life, how I operate. Again, I don't have all the answers. While I'm doing this, I'm still figuring everything by myself, because being humble is big, and I do believe in that a lot. You have to be humble, because there is no other way, right? You have to lift people up kind of around you, the ones who want the help, because not everybody want the help. I hope a lot of people today that are here, they want the help, they're seeking for help, and I guess that's part of it, why I'm here today on the podcast. So thank you again for that.
So, sir, my question was that since the previous decade was much aligned towards software engineering, since many people want to become that, and now people are saying that that this decade, that is from 2021 to 2030, will be the decade for entrepreneurs. How much do you agree to that?
Well, it's very plain and simple. You always need software, right? So we live in an age where you're dependent on the software. If you look at any of the companies right now, like partially they running on a software, right? They cannot be hardware besides the software. So I don't know if there is an advice that I can give to the companies that say, okay, because like I'm speaking probably to different audiences out there, right? I don't know who is exactly the individuals that are listening right now. If you're trying to be a software, engineer or software developer, or you're trying to be in this field and kind of pursue that as a career, okay, great, because that will be continually needed. Look, if we're looking through where the future is heading, we're heading towards inevitable kind of people. So people hate it, they don't like it or like it. Speaking about the metaverse, like we inevitably, to some degree, we're gonna get to that point, right? We speaking about artificial intelligence and virtual reality. So that's what the software is needed for, right? So if that answers the question, it is needed. It's still going to be needed. It just depends what solutions our individuals are trying to provide. Because looking at the current situation of Facebook and metaverse, there's there's a lot of bad talk that happening around at least some of the companies, including the one that I'm speaking about right now. That they're influencing the community or the environment in a maybe not the positive way ever. Right, so that depends again on what products or solutions are we speaking about. Like if that's currently related to the space industry only, or are we speaking about creating software and having software companies in real estate industry, which by the way changed real estate industry, disrupted completely, because in the real estate industry sales used to be done how? Face to face mainly, right? Where the broker meets the seller, when the realtor meets the seller, and you introduce, showcase them the house, and you do the walk-through tour and everything like that, right? Because of the software, when the pandemic started, because of the software and those creative engineers, they created a solution which provided a virtual touring experience, which almost gives you exactly the same experience as an in-person. Maybe you can use a VR goggles and put them on and have similar experience, what you're having in person, without actually going and exposing yourself to the COVID, right? And a lot of those deals have been done like that virtually, billions of dollars. So, I mean, software is still needed and will be needed forever. So I don't know if that kind of answers the question, but.
Hello, Mr. Martinez. My name is Chase, and I'm 16, and I'm from the US, and I have a great question for you. I was wondering what got you into startups and entrepreneurship, and I was like, what motivated or inspired you? What did you think you were getting into when you originally got into this?
That's a good question. So okay, so there's two ways that people get into this. One way, you just get super motivated. You find something that motivates you a lot. That could be either a person, individual, through social media, maybe mostly, because that's how we consume information these days, right? Or maybe a close relative or something like that. So that person or event or anything like that motivated you to start your own company, right? So that happens one way. Another way that can happen, that basically because of the circumstances, and the second way is probably what people, including myself, chose to, including the circumstances and the bad events that happening, basically you get cornered into the corner because of everything that's happening personally in your life, and you decide, okay, enough is enough, I need to make some changes. So that's where people operate most of the time, because rarely, obviously I've been in the companies and I started companies when I started those because I was inspired and I wanted to do this. I want to provide the solutions and services in those industries. But as the beginning, if that's the question, I started because I said, look, I cannot do this anymore. With all due respect, people need to work. We need employees. We need people to work and just kind of have a day, 9 to 5 kind of jobs. There is nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people who work at the jobs, they're enjoying it, they don't want to do anything besides that, right? Of course, there is different also jobs that maybe, some don't provide as much as joy as others. But for me, it was that. I just got cornered and I was like, look, I need to really make a change, because I read enough, I went to events enough, I networked with people enough, I met enough people, and I knew that I can do more than what my job is actually paying, because I know that I reached the ceiling at the job. So that's kind of what happened.
Thank you. That was so useful.
Thank you.
Mr. Martynas, I'm Pranesh Sharma, and I'm from India. So my question is, could you explain your first startup and how exactly did you get started, and how did you selected your team initially, and what all are the skill set that you believed were required for a startup?
Right, so that's a good question. So the first company, so let's see, the first company was the marketing company. I don't know if we can call it a company, but I do believe that's a really good way for people to go into business. Because obviously there's a lot of different marketing groups and companies, and even though some people say, okay, that's not a business, it is a business because depending on the network marketing company, and you have to be very picky and do your own due diligence to realize, because of course, like living in this day and age, there's a lot of bad stuff that's happened to the people because of the companies that they're just been there for a couple of years and now they're recruiting people. So I've been in a company that's been existing for I think 80 plus years. So it's been time proven company. And what happened, you already tapped into the network of people that also helping you to develop yourself. And that's what matters the most, right? But during that process, basically you learn what? You learn how to manage finances, network with people, build the teams. So speaking about that, so effectively building the team. So I don't know if I remember your question exactly, but as I mentioned before, we cannot do anything besides having a strong team. And how do we develop that? That depends again on the business. Thinking right now about the networking company, that's being recruited in a different way because that's a recruitment, right? When you have a company, let's say the social media company, so that's also different. You're looking for individuals that I hire for people to work on site. Also, look, now these days, it's for me, I'm trying to wrap my hand around and give the best possible answer that would give you the most possible value in the terms and the conditions that we're living right now, because we're still speaking with the COVID and the rest of the problems that we're facing right now. And I remember one of my business mentors that was selling real estate. He bought and sold real estate over $300 million, and he's very well known in the real estate industry. And he said, you should, recruit people remotely. And at that time, and I'm still do believe until this moment, obviously I have individuals who work with us remotely, but I said, look, no, I cannot make decisions like that, because for me to get in contact with the person that's living on the other side of the world, even though that's half of the price that I could pay for the same job as hiring a person on site, look, I have to schedule a call, I have to make an appointment, I have to make a Zoom call with them, and then I have to explain the situation. They have to get back to me another 4 hours. That's not how I want to make decisions. I want to go fast, right? So that's a very difficult question to answer in terms of developing a team, because that depends how fast you want to go. Because maybe that for some people, it will be like, look, okay, maybe I want to go and hire a lot of virtual assistants, and that's how we're going to operate my business. And I see that in all the industries, including space, real estate industry, social media industry. So I've seen it everywhere, sales industry. So that happens all over the place, right? So that depends, and you can build a solid business or company that way. I don't know how long-term successful is that, because if you want to build a big company, you need people on site, logically, right? So I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, it's just a lot of different pieces, and sometimes maybe by giving these answers, I just get lost in those pieces. Because my mind is also, just while we speak, we do a lot of different stuff. As I got introduced, we run companies and projects and big events and stuff like that. So sorry if that will happen another few times during these answers.
And what about the skill set that is required for a startup? What do you think that is basically required in a person to think about getting a startup?
Well, being able to talk with people. That's the one and only thing that everybody's gonna need. What we're doing right now, the fact that, again, we're doing this talk right now, and the fact that Jay reached out and they said, okay, look, I would love to have you here on this podcast, and him being able to convey his message and say, okay, put it together in a way that, becomes interesting to the people. Obviously, I'm coming here, as I said to Jay, just because I want to provide the value. Right? It's all about lifting other people up. But at the same time, coming back to the question, you need to learn how to communicate with people. Because if it's through internet, as Jay did, if it's through the phone, through the Zoom, through in person, through knocking on doors, through doing whatever, right? There's still, unless you're going to be relying maybe in the future fully on AI kind of making calls for you. And that happens because Google has developed this technology way back where AI machine can actually make an appointment or call for you to the basically, I don't know, hair salon and make an appointment, and that individual on other end won't even know that he's talking with the robot. So that's how crazy it got, right? But I don't think that we're going to get to that point very soon that technology can change the human interaction, right? So for that, we need to learn how to communicate. And how to do that, I mean, some people are a little bit maybe more gifted, but still, I do not believe that in that, because you can develop and learn the skills and the traits. That means you just have to input the hours, as probably some of you heard this 10,000 hour rule, right? You just have to become great at it and become great at it. Look, I met hundreds of people face to face. That's very uncomfortable maybe for some of the people, especially me, who is still until this day is an introvert, and I was even bigger introvert at that point. When I sat down with the people, at first I contacted them via phone. Hi, my name is Martynas, your friend James. He said that you would be potentially interested into potentially working with us, because James is currently starting to work with us, and he just thought about you as a great friend, and he wanted us to introduce this project and to talk about it a little bit more. And I would love to do that in person, because obviously this is not over the phone conversation. So, and then you meet, and then you show them what the company is all about and so forth, and that's an individual that you never met before. Right, so that's tough. That's tough to learn that and to go through that pain, a lot of sweat and nervousness, and learn how to learn from your lessons. Because every time I walked out from the meeting, I was still sitting in a seat and thinking about, okay, what did I do wrong? What I can do better next time? So improving, and learning the ways to improve, and making those 10,000 hours. So communication, kind of one word.
So it must have been really hard for you
Sir,
to.
I have a question. Like, since there are many space-based explorations happening today, so according to you, is there any particular domain like where we should focus our startup, as like any particular domain where there is very big market opportunity and very less competition?
Mhm. Well, good question, and that's coming back to that. That's, with all due respect, that's a question that happens through the people that are not maybe coming through the point of passion, as we spoke before. So maybe we need to recheck ourselves and understand, okay, what I'm passionate about, and what kind of ground do I want to start from? Because seeking for something, seeking for trends and opportunities is also a great way, because I'm all for different things. Then becomes a time and a place in life when you get enough experience and understand enough about the topics, about the industry, that it's very powerful, that you have to start seeking and looking for the opportunities that even haven't happened yet. I'm talking about spotting what's going to happen around the corner. So that's different, right? That's different. And you need to be in a position to understand, okay, this is going to be the next trend, right? Which is, you need a lot of experience, a lot of great people around you who can give you advice, that you can collect the insights and then try to make a decision. And maybe you'll be right, maybe not. It's also still a question, because things change very rapidly in all the markets right now, right? All the markets are now disrupted because of the technology and whatever is happening around a political level and so forth. So, but there is, of course, all these different kind of pockets in the space industry that people can get involved in, anything starting from the upstream to downstream services, right? And that can also be broken down into many different pieces. Right now, as we see, of course, this is not going to be a political talk, but now as we, having what's happening now, with the war of Russia and Ukraine, and now the statements that has been done, and maybe some of you seen about, that now U.S. can fly on their, U.S. broomsticks and things like that. So they're not going to be providing the engines to support the space efforts in terms of the upstream service, in terms of the launches, in terms of engines for U.S. So that's an opportunity for a lot of people. And we have some of the individuals who are coming in and speaking during the International Space Convention that are actually currently right now are contractors that provides the launch services for NASA. Those are the big companies. But in terms of the startups, that also could be a potential, saying, okay, that deal, because that's a big deal between the countries that got broken down, now could be an opportunity for us, if I am passionate about it, if I understand enough about the, let's say, rocket propulsion and engineering, to maybe work on the engines. It could be on the small sat, CubeSats, on the bigger satellites, or it could be on the rockets, right? And provide that as a product to, let's say, US or something like that. So there's a lot of different opportunities, but that depends. As there was a question before, you can also provide a simulation service or space debris tracking service again, or space traffic management service. That's a big thing and big problem to be solved. Speaking about the space debris. So I mean, looking at what I'm encouraged to do to all of you today, depending again about the industry that you're passionate about, look at this industry and think about what problems does this industry have. Right? Ask two questions: what am I passionate about, and what problems does this industry have? And go and follow these problems and try to solve these problems.
That was a really great answer, Mr. Martynas. And I just had one question for you. Like most of the time when we are talking to people who are entrepreneurs, who are having big companies, we mainly focus on the success, but most of us forget to ask about the tough times they have had. Like the tough times they have faced, there is a moment in everyone's life when they are feeling quite low. So would you mind sharing some of the insight about those tough times? And you felt like giving up, but what motivated you to keep going, and what was the secret of your success? Like what was the secret of your comeback from such situations?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. Well, I think I don't know if some of you are seeing it. I don't know if obviously I cannot share any screens or anything like that, but I think I'm just gonna try to, while I'm trying to explain it, I'm gonna try and find it on internet and let you know how to find it as well on your side. But it's called, I think, Entrepreneur Journey or something like that. And there's a great picture that sums up basically what happens in a entrepreneur's so-called and a business individual's life in a day, right? And I think you can Google that and you're gonna find it if you're just gonna search for Entrepreneur's Journey. And you're gonna find that basically there is this process, right, from the point of making a decision and then going towards and seeking that goal. There happens like these ups and downs does happen every single day. I mean, it doesn't, of course, the big setbacks, right? So let's say, okay, are you just stuck and you just wanna quit? That's different. And of course, you're probably asking about that. But those ups and downs when you think, okay, like I'm the best, you know, I can do this. And then 10 minutes later, oh my God, like nothing will happen. This is the end of the world. Like that happens every single day internally. Maybe it doesn't show on the surface, but in terms of what's happening in the head, and obviously there's a ways to kind of so-called, I'm doing the air quotes because you cannot see me, so-called cure that. There's a way, obviously, improving yourself, learning yourself, reading books about psychology, mindset, learning from the people who did it. And that's what you're doing today. You're asking people, okay, how do you do it? How do you go through those pain points? But look, your passion has to be bigger. As ridiculous as it sounds, as simple as it sounds, we're just passionate enough. And coming back to what I said before, when you tap into your own inner potential, when you realize, okay, look, like I cannot be like that. Like I cannot just work to 9 to 5. This is not for me. Like I can do so much more, right? And when that setback happens, I mean, you're in a corner. What's in it for you? I mean, you're either gonna move forward, you're gonna find the solution, and you're gonna get out of this hole, or what's the other solution? You're gonna go back and get a job. I mean, that's already closed door. You made a decision. You made a decision, and that's you probably heard the quote. You have to burn the boats. Right? You burn the boats. You say, okay, look, I'm gonna burn the boats. I'm just gonna jump from the cliff and I'm gonna build the wings on the way down, right? As they also talking about that, right? So that's what you have to do sometimes. And that happens a lot during just a regular day, right? So, but as before, ask question, you know, where do you start in the space industry? What opportunities are out there? If you're not starting from the level of just being passionate about it, just willing to solve the problems, I mean, it will be really tough. Some setbacks could be really big enough that no, you know, whatever the financial benefits or something that waiting at the end can make you go through that point, right? It has to be the passion that will just push you through, because there's some things that happens in the humans where, you know, things like that happen right now. Like look in the market. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are in a tough spot politically, financially, and everything like that, but they're now making the decisions from that point. Okay, how I can continue to push myself and innovate the company. And a lot of those companies will, a lot of those companies won't. And I think the answer is because some of the companies are more passionate and they're more willing to solve these problems.
Thank you, Mr. Martynas. That was a great answer. And Mr. Martinez, I would love to tell you one more thing about our platform. Like it's not only just the moderators who get to ask the questions from our guests, but we also provide the participants to ask questions so that they can also have a one-on-one interaction, because most of the time the questions we prepare are not like they do not align with the doubts of the participants. So now I would love to invite Yash to ask his questions. He is a participant in our server. Yash, please go
Right.
ahead.
So, I had a question. Sir, could you just tell us like the basics of finding right people to invest in your startup, and how exactly did you found like I mean how exactly did you get the funding and the financial support for your first startup?
Yeah, well, I didn't get the financial support from the startup because I don't believe unless it's a very, very, very big project or a company. Like I'm speaking about the unicorns. I'm speaking about the, let's say, the companies that we know. Let's say, let's call it Facebook, Google, or anything like that. Another breakthrough company, right? Like I'm not building or having any of those companies, so I cannot speak about that. And I know there are smaller companies inside of the space industry that are seeking either for crowdfunding. That's also a good solution because people can see what the project is and company is all about, and if they believe it, if they trust in it, they will invest with you alongside, right? So I do believe a lot that depending on the company, and I do understand basically that you're asking that question, that you're looking to seek for that funding. I do believe that you just have to go and get creative and get the couple of companies done by yourself and invest your own money, because it's easy for a lot of people to go out there and say, okay, look, I have a idea, invest in it. I mean, there's a lot of great ideas out there, right? A lot of great ideas. As one of the persons was telling me, I heard that I think on the social media also somewhere. Imagine the next great idea. There could be a system in the fridge, which actually I know, I think it's Amazon or something like that developing, right? Quick story. It's like a sensor in the fridge, and it lets you know when, let's say, you're out of the eggs or milk or anything like that, and it gets reordered automatically by that system, let's say through Amazon or any of the company like that, and it gets delivered to your house. So basically, forget the shopping anymore, right? It has the list of your products that you use every day. You just input it, and when it gets low on the product, it reorders. Great product, great solution, right? Big problem. And many other of those problems are out there existing, right? But the individual, the VC, the investor, the crowdfunding platform, the individuals will invest in you not because of the company. It could be that way. It could be that way. But if it's a VC or a big investor, they're going to look at your background. They say, okay, what have you done until this point? And if you're going to say, look, no, I have done anything, but I have this great idea, they'll be like, okay, I'll just sit back and wait. I'll see what you're going to do and kind of prove me. That's what I'm saying. That's why some people need to go through maybe creating one company at least to get as I mentioned before, the skills, talking with people, sales, networking, building the product, selling the product, placing product, looking at the trends, how to position as a company in the market or on a kind of global scale. So that's what the business owner needs, because if the VC will see that you have those traits as a business owner, plus on top of that you have a great potential product, there's no problem for you to find the capital. But if individuals coming in, because there's a lot of companies that are probably seeing these, Shark Tank shows or whatever startup shows. There's a lot of people coming through, like I have a great idea, and they don't get invested because, okay, what have you done before? So that's also the question that happens. But look, also I can be wrong by giving that advice, because you might have another breakthrough product or solution that the market needs. So that still could work. And how you approach those people, you network. You find a way to position. LinkedIn is a great way where you can find the people. If you have any local or online virtual meetups, you can go to, let's say, Eventbrite and find like a meetup space where, let's say, those individuals don't have to be in the space that you're seeking capital from. Maybe they will be, maybe they're not. Because there's a lot of real estate investors that I know that are seeking to invest their spare cash flow that's coming in from them every year, that's being write off. Kind of spare cash, and they have kind of to invest in, and they want to just put it in either another deal or another project. They're seeking for investments. In some cases that might be in the space industry. right? So, but you have to know people and how you, because those people will invest in you, maybe not directly, but let's say if there's a person named John, John will offer Adam, who is this wealthy guy, because John has a good connection with you, or John knows you and knows what the company is all about that you seek in cash. They might say, okay, look, Adam, I know this guy, he's a great guy, and he has a great product, and I think it could be something great. And he say, okay, like I'll be happy to talk with him. So coming back to the portion that I mentioned before, just learning how to network with people, right? How to talk with people, how to sell your product, how to convince. Because right now during this talk, I can say, okay, give me your pitch. Like, let me know, tell me what your product is all about. And I'll be more than happy to listen to it without you, criticizing you or anything like that, just to give you some insights, what you can do to approach the situation different. Because now I'm just giving my own opinion, but to make a real change, it will be better if we offer it right now by recording this podcast. If you give me your pitch or you talk about just a general idea about the product, I can give you some insights of what you can do and change if you offer it.
Thanks a lot. That was actually a really good explanation.
So, hi guys, and hi Martinez. First of all, thanks for being over here, and thanks to Start Now the community for giving me this opportunity. So, I had three questions which I'll ask one by one. So, my first question was like, how do we choose our co-founders? As in, if we don't know that person, and if we are like, if he's an unknown person to us, how to find a co-founder who will be trustworthy?
Great question. Great question. I love that question. Yes, because coming back to what I said, we need a team. And you're realizing right now, okay, I cannot do this by myself. I need a co-founder. I'm going to give a portion of the shares, 50-50, 30-70, depending who's the founder, who gets the most value. Coming back what you're asking, this business partnership, because I know probably majority of you are still young, because I'm married. So business is like a marriage. So let me explain how the marriage works very simply, and all of you kind of know, but that will tie in back to finding the co-founder. When you find a girl and a guy that you want to date, right? You date them. The question is for how long? Until you get to meet them and until you get to know, okay, the pros and cons, if this person is going to be good or not for the long journey. And then you make a decision, then you get married. So the question, when and how long you will need to find the pros and cons for the person to make the decision, can you marry that person, will depend on different many things. How much often do you meet those people, what questions do you ask, and so forth and so forth. So my advice is business co-founder, business relationship is just like marriage. So what that means, you need to go on more than a couple of dates with that individual. You need to go and meet them, grab a coffee, talk via Signal, ask personal questions. How do you manage finances? How do you look at those? How would you solve that problem? How would you do this? How would you react during that circumstance and that situation? That's what you need to do. You just need to go for a lot of dates and you decide, okay, this was a great person, marry him.
Got it, sir. Yeah, thanks for that. My next question was, how do we know that our idea is really worth it to work upon?
Sorry, could you ask that again? Yeah, Yash, sorry.
Yeah, so my question was, how do we know that our idea is really worth it so that we can start working on it?
So the question is, how do you know if the idea is ready? That it's worth it, so we can work on it, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so that's an individual answer, right? Because for me, it's a shame that I cannot see, the faces. It's a great platform, by the way. And it's the first time for me to even be on this platform, so it's awesome experience. But I would love to provide more feedback depending on your questions. And look, I'm more than happy because again, maybe Jay can give my one of my emails that I connected, and you can also shoot me an email. Let's say with your business proposals or ideas or startup ideas that you have, and I'll be happy to review it or maybe pass it along to other individuals that I think could be more qualified to answer those questions. Because I really would love to provide value for you during this time. But trying to answer that depends. If you're asking that question right now, that's that means that you're questioning kind of your own project or the idea right now, right? You want somebody else to validate it, to say, look, you just, so that there could be a chance. How many companies or startups it happened in the past that only few handful individuals validated? The majority said, no, this is going to be a terrible idea. And it just worked out for whatever reason, because they were passionate, they found the solutions, they found the way, and so they solved the problems. So I don't want to discourage people and say that, no, this is not going to work, because I need more insights. I need more data. But that's what you also need to do. You need to do your market research and see if it's worth it. If that's a good product or service to position right now where the market is, depending on the sector, and if you can do anything with it, with the capital, funding, whatever the people that you have around you, that you can pull it off and kind of put everything in equation, because business is simple. You can predict a lot of things, right? By just looking at the trends, what happened in the past, how many people are actually doing it, and a lot of it, if you don't want to pay the price of starting something and then, oh my God, finding like after 1 year of the hard work, oh my God, it's already there, it's out there, it's been running like crazy, there is no way that we can, compete with that company. Do your market research. Do the market research, because that will not cost you anything. You obviously will cost the time, but it's better to do the market research to validate the idea or the product or the service or the company before starting it. Because when you're going to start it, that's it. It's going to cost you the time and the money, relationships. As we're speaking about the co-founders, there could be some problems. So look, just do your research before. But again, as I mentioned before, if any of you want to kind of forward just a quick elevator pitch idea, what you have, I'll be happy to give you more kind of insights on that as well.
Thanks a lot, sir, for this guidance. And my last question for you is, it was already answered, but I would like if you add more to it. So the question is, how do we stay motivated throughout the journey? As in, if I'm about to start the journey of startup and get started with it. So how do we constantly stay motivated? As in my case, the thing is that I work on the idea, but sometimes there are days like I feel it's not really worth working on it, giving that much time when you're not getting the value back on it. So how do we, stay focused and motivated?
Yeah, well, what I'm hearing right now is the problem that we have in the society overall. Because I'm just a little bit older than probably majority of you. I'm 32. Because there's also the older generation who's in 50s, 60s, and they talking about a lot. The one thing that I'm going to be speaking right now, because that thing has also been talked a lot when I was growing up, and is not being spoken enough right now. So that's the message that I'm going to give you. These people will always been speaking about, look, work. You need to work, and forget the instant gratification. Right? Because now people, and that's the problem in society, that we expect, because we have everything on our fingertips, we can create a business like instantly, right? You can launch a Shopify, you can build a website, you can register a company in a country that you've never been into, you can network with people, and everything is at fingertips. So we expect instant gratification. We expect everything like that in a business will happen instantly. Which sometimes you have to pay a lot of price, including your own money, time, suffering, and so forth, until there is a reward. And that's how actual business happens. And that's why, again, there's another reason why there's a lot of people who quit. There's a lot of people that just don't persevere. Because people realize that. So there is no cure for that. As I mentioned before, like you either get obsessed and passionate and you decide, okay, this is who I am. Because look, now we speak, and so what today is? Sunday. So here we go. I even had to check like what day it is today, because I don't know. Like I'm always working. I don't care if it's a Saturday, it's a Sunday. I'm just living my life. I'm not here to work Monday, Friday, and then, oh my God, I cannot wait for Sunday, Saturday, and just kind of enjoy my time off, and oh my God, it's freedom. Like, no, look, this is the freedom, because I do what I like. If I don't like, okay, I leave that business, I leave it out, I take it out, I sell it, or I say I'm not going to be in it in that business, and then I go and start another one that I'm more passionate about, right? But it is your life. So you just have to live it. So guys and girls just have to remember, it will be a lot of pain. This is just the reality. I'm sorry, this is not going to be motivational talk. If you need the motivation, there's YouTube talking about instant access, YouTube, podcast, everything like that, giving motivational talks if that's what you think you need. There's books, there's individuals that you can go and seek. There's all the opportunities out there because you can find all of this with your phone, with your computer. So and we as people, that's another problem, forget to ask the questions. Right? Because we believe we have the technology, because even that happens on a day-to-day basis with the people around me. They ask me the questions, how would you actually do this? And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, look, do you have this like piece of a machine that actually is more powerful than the first spacecraft that was launched on the moon? That's more powerful than that's now sitting in your pocket, and you're asking me the question? Like, go and find it yourself, get creative. Right? So that people forget to do that because now they're like, okay, like, they don't even think anymore. So just continue to push. If you're passionate enough, you'll find the solutions, you'll find the way. But you need to believe in the product or what you're doing, because what it sounds like you're a little bit kind of, I don't know if it's worth it, and you really have to believe it. I mean, you have to be sold on yourself, because look, coming back to the other question of raising money, how you can go in and get the money if, let's say, when you go in and meeting with a person right now with a potential venture capitalist, and his certainty in terms of investing cash in a company now dropped because of the political issues, the COVID, everything like that, he's keeping his money in the pocket or in the bank, right? Mostly in the bank. And they don't want to invest. And now the person comes in, he's not motivated, he doesn't believe in this product or service, and he's like, look, I have a great idea, but I think it maybe could be that it will work out. Like, is that going to sell? Like, that's why you have to be sold on your idea first. You have to truly believe it, what you're talking about. Because if that venture capitalist level of enthusiasm is low, by you being in the room and being enthusiastic, you can bring his enthusiasm to the level that you are on. Right? So we need to inspire them. So that's what happens. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I hope it helped.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for the answers. They were really helpful and guided a lot. So yeah, thanks a lot once again.
Thank you, Yash.
I have one more question for you. I was wondering, when doing an interview, what virtues or skill sets are most important to look for when looking for new team members? Like, what is most important and valuable in a team setting?
Great question. So personality. Personality. One word is personality, because there's a lot of people that you're going to find when looking and hiring for people. A lot of people can bring their own CVs and they can bring, I worked for this company. Also look for the skills, where they worked for before. Don't get me wrong. Like, you need to look at the experience, right? Because if a person's coming in with nothing, with blank page versus 10 pages of experience, that's different. But at the end of the day, you need to look at the personality of people, because there are a lot of people that I hired, I didn't hire because I knew they're just going to become problems. And they obviously, just like everybody else, I made mistakes. Like, not long ago, we hired a person, and I said to my business partner, I said, look, because he kind of made that call, and I think this business friend of mine, he will be listening, hopefully, this podcast, because I told him. I said, look, I told you, it's, that person will be a problem. And it turned out to be that, it was a problem, and we found out very quickly. Because you just need to read the people. And how do you read the people? You're just coming back to the point what I mentioned before. When you learn how to talk with people, you learn how to read people. I'm not talking about manipulating people, just reading the people, understanding, okay, are you lying to me? Are you being honest? Are you just knowing the difference, right? And during that interview, asking questions also about the experience, why do you want to work in here, but asking about themselves. How do you see yourself now in a company 5 to 10 years? Because believe me, even that answer, sometimes people say like, oh, I'm just here for the money. And it's like, oh, okay. So there's all these different questions that you can ask and to find out what the person is. But look for personality.
Thank you. That was super useful.
Thank you, Chase.
So my question was, what are your thoughts on importance of mentors in a startup ecosystems?
Right. Well, I don't know if I heard that one word, but well, just speaking overall about the mentors, right? So just 1 second, I'll need you just to do one thing. Sorry about this, because I'm just having another call soon, but look, doesn't matter. So during the mentors, I had plenty of mentors. Speaking about having those, how you find them. Maybe I'll give you, an advice on how to find the mentors. So finding the mentors, there's a lot of people that are providing kind of financial incentivized mentorship, right? Okay, you have to pay me and I'll be your mentor. In my case, until this day, I'm doing kind of this barter system, if we can call it, right? Look, I'm going to provide the something from my side in terms of networking solutions. Maybe we'll exchange products. We're going to give the solutions to services that we provide to your company or the companies that of your friends or whatnot. And in terms of that, you're going to be providing me free mentorship. Because the mentors are the mentors. There is no growth without the mentors. Like all the mentors, and it happens also that you're gonna find the mentor. That mentor will be like, "Oh my God, this is the best human being ever," and then after 2 months or maybe 2 years, he'll be like, "Okay, there's just nothing else left." Now this individual just repeats the same, and I just got everything from him, and even though that person improves, it's nothing else left. And you just have to find a new mentor, the bigger mentor, and then bigger and bigger, and put yourself in the more kind of uncomfortable positions, and reach out for bigger individuals. But find a way to get creative. Say, okay, like look, like I'm coming out right now. Maybe I don't have a lot of money to kind of pay you for now. What I can give for you in exchange of your time, right? Because you need the mentors. Because every individual, not even in sports and business, had a coach, and that's what a mentor is. Because when you operate in the business yourself every single day, you're not seeing a lot of these moving pieces, which there's a lot of these moving pieces in the business. And the mentor is like a coach who is sitting on the sidelines and looking at you and assessing where you are, what are you doing, what mistakes are you making, or what mistakes you're about to make. And he can give you that information before you make that mistake, or guide you and kind of correct you on your path. So it is very powerful, but I encourage you, don't go after paid mentorships, because there's a lot of people right there. I'm a mentor, pay me, There's a lot of people, they don't know what they're talking about. They have no experience, they have nothing. All they have is just a website and the price list for the coaching, right? Get creative. Be as a business owner, get creative. That's what the business is all about, getting creative and finding the problem for the solution. Which a problem? I don't have the money to pay you. What's the other way for me to reward you for your time? But seek out for mentors, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Martynas, for this insightful session. So, since you're a busy person, I would just like to have 1 minute of yours. Since in one of your answers, you mentioned like if a person is willing to pitch their startup or their idea to you, you are more than willing to listen to them and give your valuable guidance to them. So, I would love to take this opportunity and and pitch you the idea behind Start Now. So, like I and Priyansh came up with this idea for Start Now, and because we both are from same, we were classmates, and we had this one issue that there was no such platform to guide us to start our own venture, because most of the time in our schools and our colleges we are trained to go for a 9 to 5 and work, and till our death we are told to work so that we can earn our bread and butter. So we came up with this idea to make a platform for every young person, not only young person, every other person who is willing to take a risk and start their own startup, and to provide them the perfect knowledge and bring the experts of this field on a platform so that they can be guided by them. And like this one of the sessions we are having right now, we are having a great personality like you on this stage to guide these young bloods so that they can start their own ventures in the future. So we would love to have some insights on our idea from you. So because we have lots of great plans, we are having upcoming events, we have mock drills as well. We are also planning to have launch a website and many more things. So we would be really glad if you can provide some insight about the same.
Yeah, well, what I can say in a couple of words, this is a really great initiative because I don't believe there is enough information. I believe there's a lot of misinformation, right? So that's what I would do. As again, look, I have also, besides the Space XP, a lot of podcasts on space before, and speaking about different industry. I also had a Beating Alpha, which is a podcast about real estate, and I have 172 individuals that I had on this podcast, and some of those individuals that I asked to come on a podcast, those episodes are not out because then I found out what these people are. So what that means, I didn't do enough due diligence about those people before inviting them to speak. So in those terms, because there's a lot of misinformation, what I would advise you is to seek for individuals that are giving the right message. Go and see where the other talks they did, what information they can provide the community, and is that information aligned with your personal goal in terms of providing information for your community, right? So seek out for the right individuals for your community, for your brand, and for the brand goals as you have. Maybe you want to narrow it down, let's say, to a particular niche. Maybe you want to talk only about technology, because technology is a big industry. It also can be about space and medicine and anything, restaurant chain, whatever that could be, right? Or maybe that could be only about everything. But if you would narrow down, because we cannot be jack of all trades, as sometimes we have to be in a business. Just focusing, having the focus, right? And maybe on a couple of things and finding the ways, studying the platforms that are similar to what you're creating. Because look, at the end of the day, you're creating what's already existing. The question now is, what will make you different, right? So that, as the question was before, okay, how do I know that this is the right thing that I'm working on? Do your research, right? Do the research of the competition. And again, think about, okay, what can make us different in terms of the brand, right? And that would be, as I mentioned before, start from the start with the right people. And I hope I was the right person for today's show, because you don't be afraid to seek for bigger people, right? Go and seek out, go and reach for the, as they say, for the moon, right? If you're not gonna hit the moon, you're gonna go for the star or whatever that is, right? So just have bigger goals that you think you have right now, because we have this limited beliefs, because you now operate from the environment that you're in currently right now, and that's why we make those decisions. So if you would realize, oh my God, there is no limits, and what I'm thinking right now, maybe this scarcity mentality, as we all do, including myself, oh my God, there's not enough money, there's not enough clients, there's all these war problems, oh my God, what am I gonna do? This is a scarce mentality. While we thinking from the scarce mentality, there are other individuals and probably competition who are thinking in a different way. So now you need to be one of those people and thinking about what opportunities there are now in the marketplace that can make us different. And obviously, look, this was a great initiative. And again, thank you for your time, for all of you being here. And, look, the time will show. The time will show, and you can improve things by the time. And, I'm pretty sure this will be a great, great initiative that will attract a lot of people and will provide tremendous value for individuals and people. So if that's the focus with this platform, I mean, the success is inevitable. Kind of inevitable. It's just now the question of when. We just have to work in it and just be patient.
Sir, I have one question, if you allow me.
Please, Amelia.
Sir, sometimes that happen as a startup founder, we see that the total addressable market of our idea is very less. Some people say that work on it and make that big on your own to make the whole market stand out, like a whole industry stand out. And some people say that we should avoid such ideas. So what are your thoughts about it?
Well, it depends who's answering that question, right? Because it's speaking about, okay, one person is saying no, this is a great idea, another person saying, oh, this is not going to work. There's already too much competition. So
Yes.
and that's coming back to the place what I mentioned before, learn how to read the people. And simple way to read the people, okay, ask them, okay, what this person, the one that gives me the feedback, the good one or the bad one, where they are currently right now, how successful they are, what they did previously until this point. Because look, there are a lot of people who are in 50s, 60s. They can give you an advice and you might take it for granted. You might say, okay, because they're in 50s, 60s, I have to appreciate them because they're older and they give me the advice. They have the knowledge. No, they don't. There's a lot of people who don't have it. There's a lot of people who did nothing else besides nothing. They just worked. I mean, look, it's nothing wrong. Again, nothing wrong with working and being great at the job that you do. But if that's what they did and they try and provide you business advice, which in the case they never did a business before, I mean, come on. So you have to just listen sometimes to the people. Of course, feedback is always appreciated. Feedback is always great. But look, there's, as I mentioned before, there's time and proven again that there's a lot of companies that disrupted the markets. And what's the question that this could not be another platform, even starting, let's say, on a platform like this, like on a Discord, that could become another company that can disrupt in terms of education and providing the insights for the people. And you need just a solid plan to follow through with that. Obviously, you need the guidance, and all these questions that you asked, that was great, because that's what needs for your company as well. Talking people, networking, raising capital, positioning in the marketplace, and reading what's going to happen the next, and so forth and so forth. If you do that, look, you all going to be fine. All going to be fine, right? You just have to figure out if this is right for you and believe in it long enough to persevere.
Thank you, sir. That provided me amazing insight.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you, Mr. Martynas, for your valuable time. It means a lot to us. It was a really great and a helpful session. I hope the audience got to know a lot. And we wish we could have gone further with this session, but since you are a really busy person, we won't take much of
you
your
have a podcast interview just now. So, yeah.
we won't take much of your time. Thank you for this session. We hope to talk to you in future as well. And all the best for your future adventures. And thanks once again. I hope you enjoyed the session.
I did. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you everyone who joined this session. It was lovely meeting you all. So now we would love to conclude this session. And good evening, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah.